Hi, this is an astrology report for Friday, April 18th through Sunday, April 20th. This is sort of a powerful and important weekend astrologically, so I'm glad to be speaking with you about it today. On one hand, we have a lot of relief. There may be a bit of a feeling of relief right now on an emotional level, but there's also some building tension, perhaps some tension sort of resurfacing. We'll get into the timing around that as we get into this report. The first thing that I want to start with is a discussion of Mars newly entering Leo. This is such a significant piece of the astrology this weekend. So, Mars is now in Leo for the first time after spending an emotional 4 months in Cancer because of the Mars retrograde cycle. Mars was in Cancer for a very long time, and part of that time, Mars was retrograde. So we all may have noticed this in terms of doing some difficult emotional work on some level, going over things from the past. Themes with family or home very well could have been involved. And now that Mars has moved into Leo this weekend, we're having a sort of renewed feeling of confidence and motivation. Because when Mars was in Cancer, those things were a bit depleted. So not only may those themes of emotions come to the surface, and old things perhaps related to home and family during that time, but also our motivation, our confidence, sort of in some ways a feeling, a willingness, an ability to really face those challenges with boldness wasn't available. We were processing. Now that Mars is moving into Leo, there is a boldness to our actions, almost unapologetically so. So you may be feeling this weekend, especially as we sort of get into it. Right now, as I'm recording this, you can see Mars really has just crossed over into Leo. So it may sort of build over the weekend. But also there's a bit more going on I'm going to add to our picture here. But just to start here, you may feel that sort of building energy, a boldness, a willingness to take action. It is quite fiery, and kind of unapologetic, passionate. This is unlike Mars and Cancer. This is a get it done energy that is visible and that is proud. Mars and Leo does enjoy and appreciate some recognition from others, doesn't mind a little bit of attention. So the contrast, I think, after Mars and Cancer could feel really good just because that Mars energy, that masculine energy within all of us, has been going through such deep emotional work for the last few months that being able to charge forward, move forward with more drive, more confidence, more courage, kind of, more fire, more boldness, is going to feel really good. So let's add to this picture because it is a picture that needs to be, it's not this simple. It never is with astrology, right? There's always some other things to talk about. I am thinking that is incredibly bold, though. Okay, so also this weekend, we have this Mars in Leo, this Mars newly in Leo, forming a trine to Neptune, which is newly in Aries. This is Neptune's first visit to Aries in 160 years, right? Neptune is an outer planet, a slow moving planet. It takes a very long time for Neptune to go all the way around the zodiac. So Neptune being newly in Aries, 0 degrees of Aries, the Aries point, the very beginning of the zodiac, that initiation degree, just getting things started is super significant. And Mercury, direct now after a retrograde, happens to be there as well, just for the weekend. So Neptune's going to be there a lot longer. Into next week, Neptune will be forming this trine to Mars, but this weekend it is with Mercury as well. So all weekend we have this, and I really like it. I really like it. It does also show a significance that we have inner planets and outer planets involved. Whenever that's going on, it sort of suggests, so we have this outer planet involved of Neptune, right? But we also have Mars and Mercury. And it feels even more poignant to me because Mars and Mercury are both coming off of a retrograde. So when I see that kind of interaction, it says something about how this is sort of a bridge between like the personal and the collective, right? We have what's going on in our own individual lives and we have what's going on in the world. So when I see this kind of configuration with the personal planets and the outer planets, it makes me think that something's going to happen, right? It's not just something sort of going on with you or a conversation that happens in your home. It's like a little bit bolder than that, a little bit bigger than that. It's a bridge between that personal and the collective. Something may happen to you, or you may make something happen. There's an alignment between what's going on with you and what's going on in the world, what's changing in the world and what's changing and what's shifting for you. It shows that like we're participating. We're participating in what's happening. We're integrating what's happening in the world into our lives in some way. Okay, so just to get a little more specific about this, I was talking before about that Mars and Leo energy of action, which can be so strong and bold. Let me just pause for a minute and say hi to Samuel and to Sabrina. Good morning. Thank you for joining me live. Thank you for being here. Um, and Can I also pause before I get into this Mars Neptune trine, or I'm sorry, Mars trine Neptune and Mercury? Before I get into the significations of that, I just want to say something about the timing of this Mars in Cancer really quickly, incredibly quickly, 30 seconds. I said before that Mars was in Cancer for 4 months, that time when we were processing all that emotional stuff, going through a Mars retrograde, Mars really being in his emotions, working with his family, maybe not feeling as motivated or as confident as usual. That began in January, yes, but really it began in October of 2024. That's when Mars first entered Cancer in the shadow period. Okay, so I just wanted to say that. So it's really not even just wrapping up a 4 month story, it's really even longer. And if you're trying to track what might have shifted for you during that Mars in Cancer, it might be helpful to have that October timing as well as the January. And I'm going to give some other sort of timing notes as we go today. So I wanted to give that one before we move on. Okay, so we have this bold, fiery Mars, so relieved after his long stay in Cancer, coming into a trine with Neptune, newly in Aries. You guys, we've never felt this before. No one alive has ever experienced Neptune in Aries. And Mercury just happens to be there this weekend as well, which is not an accident. Okay. We have that bridging of the inner and the outer planets and the bridge between the collective and the personal. So I almost feel like we have Mars's actions here that we've talked about, and like Neptune is adding inspiration to that. The actions become inspired actions, and Mercury is sort of adding ideas or words to these inspired actions. It's like our dreams can really get legs with an aspect like this. It's taking a vision that we have and setting it into motion. And I think that those words and those actions, Mercury, Mars, are really being led by the heart, by our dreams, Neptune, by something new, something new, something new and inspired. What is feeling new and inspired this weekend? How is that leading your actions? How are you moving forward now with this Mars and Leo, with this renewed confidence and courage, and connecting to some new vision that really inspires you and lights you up? This is a weekend where we might feel like our intuition and our drive and our ideas are all aligned, right? So you can just feel on every level that something is the right thing to do. Do what feels right this weekend. And if there's some new things coming up, that might be interesting to pay attention to, especially some new inspirations. And I think it's going to take us a while to understand this Neptune and Aries. I actually did a video when Neptune first crossed over into Aries talking about how I actually think it's impossible to understand Neptune and Aries right now. Neptune is actually only here for a few months. He's going to retrograde back over into Pisces. I think we're in a transition period right now with Neptune. Neptune's moving back and forth. It's almost like Neptune's not really here. Neptune's going back and forth. At the 0 degree point, at the same time, Neptune is here. Neptune is in Aries, and it is forming a beautiful trine right now with Mercury as well, to this Mars, newly in Leo. It really, there is something, it's almost like you're rubbing your eyes, clearing the dust, clearing the clutter, moving forward with a renewed sense of optimism, vision, energy. Okay, I'm going to add to this because on Sunday we have um we have the sun, which is now in Aries, exalted in Aries. The sun really loves to be in Aries. It can really get a lot done and can be and work kind of intuitively and impulsively, and the sun loves to be like that. But the sun will move into Taurus. And when the sun moves into Taurus, it is going to form a square to this Mars in Leo. See, as planets are crossing over these thresholds into these new degrees, they're hitting the 0 degree point, and that's sort of activating them in a certain way. I hope that you've been able to see this all okay today. I know it's a little bit of an amateur setup with my iPad, but so far I haven't found anything that works better. And I do like how portable it is. I can be wherever I need to be to do these reports. I'm looking forward to being outside soon enough. Okay, so on Sunday, the sun moves into Taurus and comes into a square with Mars. And there's some tension here. This is where I'm saying, it's like in some ways we have a relief this weekend, and in other ways we have this sort of tension. And the tension here is not a big deal. It's a little bit fleeting, but it's interesting. These signs are fixed signs, and it's almost like there's a little bit of a standoff between these very different energies. Okay, Mars and Leo, we've talked about, is bold, likes to be seen. It's very expressive and sort of flashy. And Sun in Taurus is not that at all. Sun in Taurus is slow and steady and stable. And so it's as if there's a part of us that wants to go slow and steady, and there's a part of us that wants to go bold and flashy, and yeah, there's all this new energy happening. So maybe the sun moving into Taurus at this time is sort of nice. Maybe it's good. It sort of pulls the reins just a little bit. But then again, when our horse is trying to jump, don't pull the reins. Let it jump, But we don't want to move forward so fast that we miss something, or that we make a mistake that could have been avoided if we went slower. So there could be a way here in which just a little friction from the sun moving into Taurus, which is very practical, which is very slow and steady, could be sort of holding us back. So we still have all that passion from that Mars in Leo pulling us forward, and all this new excitement with Neptune and Aries causing us to have these new bold dreams and be ready to put them into action. But we also have some patience with the Sun in Taurus available to us, particularly on Sunday and after. Excuse me. Had a sip of water and I think I kind of swallowed it the wrong way. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. I apologize. Okay, I'm fine. Anyway, Sun in Taurus, there's something there that's sort of pulling us back, just slowing it down just a little bit. Before that, earlier in the weekend when the Sun is in Aries, it's almost even more is adding to the boldness. The Sun is adding to the boldness. The Sun in Aries loves to just move forward. The Sun in Aries doesn't need to necessarily know where it's going. It's just ready to start moving forward. So maybe in some ways, the Sun moving into Taurus here and slowing us down isn't a bad thing. We do have all planets direct at this time. All of the planets are moving direct right now. That is true until May 2nd when Pluto turns retrograde. However, if there's any planet that I wouldn't pay attention to in terms of it going retrograde, it would be Pluto. It is kind of significant this year just because Pluto is newly in Aquarius. You'll notice at the early degrees. So let's talk about that for a quick second, because we also have this building right now, and unfortunately talk about tension. As soon as Mars moved into Leo, it began to build a opposition to Pluto. And although this opposition isn't exact right now, it's coming into alignment and it's within orb. So this Mars-Pluto opposition is active throughout the rest of April. And it's a really, timing-wise, it's interesting. When Mars and Pluto were in different signs, they had an opposition back in November. Pluto was in Capricorn then, and Mars was in Cancer, and they opposed each other. And that may have been the beginning of something, November. Then in January, Mars and Pluto opposed each other where they are now. They were in Leo and Aquarius, and now they're doing it again for a third time. This is because of Mars's retrograde. You can see like everything that's going on right now with this Mars moving into Leo. That's because we have so many planets at the early degree points. Look, 3 degrees, 0 degrees, 1 degree. The Sun will be at 0 degrees. Mars is at 0 degrees. This shows that we're at a time where new things are happening, new things are opening up. So this story, it's about power shifts and struggles and power dynamics changing. There's always something about Mars Pluto that feels to me like that feeling of like you have something to say and you just can't hold it back anymore and you end up saying it. The best use of that is actually not to say it and instead to like go exercise or something, because I mean, it's weird. These kinds of things need to happen. They need to move us forward, but it can be destructive. You know, something that is reminding, I have an example was the last time that this happened was in the collective, we had the election times up with it, the election itself in November, and then the inauguration in January, but also the Luigi Mangione shooting was during this. It's like, it's destructive. You know, it's something's being expressed that needs to be expressed, but there's something sort of destructive or difficult about the energy itself. The actions aren't necessarily feeling like this inspired stuff we were talking about with Neptune and Aries. So that's why I think going here is where we want to go. this is where we want to focus, not just this weekend, but really beyond into for the rest of April, because this tension is going to be here between Mars and Pluto as well, sort of almost pulling us in a direction that isn't positive, that isn't pleasant, that isn't helpful. Yes, tensions need to be expressed. It's good to move things forward. We need this Mars Pluto to happen. But if we can get through it, if we can navigate that tension without acting out, without being reactive, it would be in our best interest. And I think one way to really do that is to lean into that Neptune in Aries. Where are you feeling inspired? What feels like magical? What's really lighting you up? How can you put your energy into that? Sometimes this tension can show up personified. It can be two people. It can be one person who's really fiery and excited and bold, and it can be another person who is really different and sort of standing outside the collective, pushing for some new agenda. So you can sometimes feel someone showing up in your life as one of these people and you playing the role of the other as well. So I did want to mention that. I also get into the Mars opposition to Pluto in quite a bit of depth in my April horoscopes, which are on my channel, and that will take it through your chart. So if you know your rising sign, watch the video for your rising sign. And if you don't, then your sun sign should work too. I think this is a really nice weekend. All the planets are moving direct. We have a lot of opportunity to make progress, to feel inspired in new magical ways. That Mars and Leo is providing a lot of relief. And at the same time, yeah, we've got a Mars-Pluto opposition, the third and final one, building in the background for the rest of the month. So I can't act like everything is sunshine and roses. There's some challenges too. So if you feel all of the above, I'm with you. And I hope that you have a really, really nice weekend. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, I'll be back again soon. Have a great weekend.